Okay, we'll put it together and flex the spine, rounding, drawing upwards. Maybe straightening both legs. And then exhaling again, dropping the chest towards the thighs and driving the head up towards the tailbone. Think about stretching around the throat as well and keeping the shoulders down away from the ears. Inhale, exhale as you move. Okay, and then you're welcome to play there as much as you'd like. So let's step forward. Those are some movements you can start. Arms are going to reach up. I like to take a little bit of a stretch each time we switch positions. So here we're going to bring the left elbow behind the head, allowing the hand to find the center of your spine. And if that's too much, you can keep the arms extended, grabbing your left wrist, lifting up out of your hips and tipping to the right. Notice your left foot wants to lift. Think about keeping it grounded. And then this will open up around the left side body. Okay, this is called lateral flexion of the spine. We're flexing to the side. You'll feel the obliques here. Think about lifting up out of your hips. And again, only tip as far as you feel safe. Arms extend, wiggle your fingers, letting blood flow to new spaces. Big breath in at the top. Check that your heels are still pressing down, and we'll take it to the other side. You're welcome to bend the right elbow if that feels good. This is a tricep stretch, okay? Or you can grab that right wrist and right away go left. Thinking about pressing the right foot down into the mat and creating space around your hip. So again, it's called lateral flexion. Couple of breaths here, keeping the shoulders down. If that's too much, you can again use your table as a support. Okay, so up to you. Feel the oblique, that's the side of your waist. Activate to curl you up. Arms reach overhead and roll the wrists out. I'm going to turn to sit, so I'll give you a moment to find a chair. Okay, and then this is a little bit of a hip opener. So if you want to repeat some of the back work, you're welcome to stop the video here and start over. Okay, and maybe practice the first section for a while. If you feel like you want to continue with some hip work, find a seat. Here, same principle applies. Ankles are strong, nice base. Glutes are engaged as you're sitting up tall. Okay, and this seated position with an active stance is also an exercise you can do. Just practice holding a nice strong seat to strengthen the backs of your legs and keeping the knees away from center. From here, hands go to the sides of the chair for support. You might even feel like this is quite a lot of work. Okay, and then we can even play with floating one leg up and placing it down, which is a whole nother exercise I'm happy to take you through a different day. So here instead, I'm gonna fold my left leg out to what we call a figure 4 position, allowing the left ankle to rest in a comfortable space on the right knee. If it doesn't wanna come up that high, step your right foot forward just a little bit. Okay, I also have a yoga block that I keep near my station. A book might work for you here too, just to prop that leg up and bring it closer to you. So again, as you roll back, you're gonna use the abs to find that seat. Okay, again, feeling safe as needed and extending the right leg as far forward as needed. So normally this will flip for me, but it's not doing that here. That's okay. So the goal is going to be to open up the left hip. And I want you to have a nice strong support wherever that right leg is so that you can find a little bit of a stretch in the outside of your left hip. Inhale to lift the rib cage, exhale to fold. Here you have that nice back stretch coming into play. Okay, and again, just finding a nice ease in the hold. Goal is to feel a stretch in the hip. This might be intense or not at all, depending on how tight your hips are. But having loose hips makes the glutes more available to protect your low back as they activate, instead of bringing tension straight up the leg, skipping over muscle into where you might be feeling pain. Okay, so strength and length together help balance the body overall. Okay, and we can think about lifting the heart to deepen the stretch. Make sure you exhale and relax the body rather than tensing against the stretch. This takes a bit of mindfulness and breathing, training the body to relax. Maybe close the eyes, soften the muscles of your face, let go of any tension you feel, and allow your body to melt into the pose. Couple of breaths there. And as you come out, I want you to extend the nose forward. Feel the heart and chest lifting as you sit back up. Carefully help the leg back down to the floor. And switch sides. Okay, so you can shake the legs out as needed, kick forward. Maybe bring the hands to the sides of the chair. Press your chest up. Lengthening here. Again, using the abs to support movement of the spine should help avoid further pain. Okay, if not, helping to reverse some of it right away. So we're going to switch sides. That's going to be left. Guess my hip really wanted that stretch today. Right ankle comes over the left knee here. Again, finding a figure 4. And modifications are going to be bringing the left leg forward, sliding the leg down a little bit, okay, as needed. And again, as long as you feel a stretch in the outside of your right leg, we're good, okay? This can be done on the floor for a little more range. I'll show you what that looks like before closing the practice today. Couple of breaths here, and if this position wasn't for you, you're welcome to pause and fast forward to that point where I'm on the floor at the end coming up. Okay, but I'll take a few moments here for breath. Think about separating the sits bones down into wherever you're seated. Okay, this grounds the pelvis to help you lengthen and strengthen the muscles around that space that tend to tighten up without awareness. Okay, so lifting the chest over and folding as far as you want to, or as far as feels good to you. And here we're looking for a nice big stretch around the right side of your outer hip. Maybe let the hands fall. This can be done in any chair. And I'm going to show you one more stretch seated before we move onto the floor to finish. Okay, and then feel free to stay in any pose that feels good to you. Coming back up, really feel the abs, training the muscle to kick in to help support you, and then shake that off. Okay, so seated, extend both legs. Okay, anywhere you are is fine. Then here we're gonna think about, again, grounding the sits bones, hand to pelvis and abs. Okay, lifting out of the hips and folding. Soft bend in the knees is okay. So I want you to start with the knees bent so you can isolate the back here as you fold. Okay, and you're just in your chair reaching for your feet. Just recalibrating the movement of blood flow, allowing the head to be lower than your heart, and rounding the elbows and shoulder blades towards center to find a stretch that feels good to you. You're welcome to play in this position. Maybe take the head to the right, bringing the left hand outside the right foot if that's available, and maybe bending the right knee deeper, bringing your right hand outside of that leg, flexing the left foot. Okay, only moving as far as you feel comfortable. So gently rotating, pressing the left hip back in space to create a longer line on that side as you reach the left hand outside the right foot. Relaxing the shoulders away from the ears. And the longer you hold the pose and allow the breath to soften the muscle, the more flexible you'll become over time. Hands are going to switch to the other side, switch the position of your legs. So left knee bends. And this is kind of a seated variation of the first standing stretches that we did earlier. And if your hands don't want to find the floor, again, you're welcome to prop up some books and bring the floor to you. Okay, playing, walking your hands over to that left side as you press the right heel away, thinking about lengthening that side of the body. Couple of breaths there. Letting go of the weight of your head, softening the tops of your thighs, knees, soften the forehead, and just fold into yourself. We'll bring that back to center. Maybe we straighten both legs here if that's available. If the hands don't want to go that far, rest them on your thighs and press away to lift and fold. And here you can take some movement side to side of the upper back, rounding the chest. This is also flexion to sit back up all the way. And then you can play with that as much as you'd like as well, thinking about rounding a little lower to hit that target area. Okay, and then this opens us up to deeper twists. Okay, that might take a little more practice before we jump right into those. So I did promise some floor stuff. We're gonna sit down on the floor, and I'll show you a modification for your outer hip stretch. So seated, hands behind. I like to face my palms away, so if that's available, just check in with where your wrists are at. Lifting the heart, also spine stretch. We're extending here, inhale. Knees are bent. Try to keep them together. That's going to be an activation of the inner thighs to draw the ankles in. And here we're going to flex, round tailbone under, bring hands to face the sits bones, and one ankle goes over the opposite knee. Okay, so this might give you a little more range. You're welcome to go to your elbows on the floor, if that feels good. And as you press up to lift, you'll feel the stretch get a little more intense. Okay, so variation here if the chair didn't work as well today. Rocking side to side. Okay, thinking about rounding that low back, just to stretch as well as the hip, and you can play with that as well. So extending the left knee is also an option here if that works for you. Maybe place a rolled up towel, blanket, or block underneath to support you there. Okay, so a couple of tricks today as well, and this is another option for stretching the outside of that leg. You can place a blanket here to support the knee too. And in time, this will become a lot more loose for you. Okay, and then you're welcome to do the other side if you like that. I'm gonna finish with one more stretch today called child's pose, which is specifically for the low back, but might not be for everyone because it's performed on the floor. So make sure you have space, come on down somewhere safe, have your blankets and towels around you if that's something you like. And here there's a couple of options. Okay, if your inner thighs are a bit tight and the legs don't want to open, keep them together. Walk your hands forward. Big inhale. Okay, you can take a few more movements of the spine here if that feels good to you. Just extending and flexing, using the abs to move, bringing the chin towards your chest. And hey, maybe that feels so good you want to just stay there forever. Okay, 30-second holds are recommended to see a difference in the muscle. And I've not heard of any of these stretches causing problems if you hold them for too long. Sending the hips back, think about keeping your chest forward. Okay, and here we slowly ease into a child's pose, version 1. And if the hips don't want to come down all the way, you're welcome to place your blanket or block between the heels and sits bones. And think about letting go of your hips. And then this pose is recommended to stay as long as you'd like. So this might be something you turn the lights down, maybe while you're waiting for dinner to be ready, and just come to connect with the earth. Forehead is down into the surface, maybe a blanket or towel underneath you. And maybe you rock the head side to side, massaging the forehead just a little bit. Okay, and I want you to imagine that I'm with you there, rubbing my hands together over your space to create some warmth. And as you inhale, prepare. On the exhale, imagine that I'm bringing my hands to your hips and pulling down, adding gravity to your stretch. Really curling that tailbone under and dropping the hips away from your spine. If you want to bring this into the upper back a little bit, you're welcome to spread the fingers, press the fingertips and lift the palms. And think about lifting your rib cage over the thighs to create more space, allowing the elbows to come back down when you're ready. Again, just dropping the sits bones towards your heels as much as you can, rocking side to side. And as you breathe, think about filling the back of your rib cage and the back of your sacrum, which is the low back, so rounding there as possible. Variation 2, we're going to curl the tailbone under, come up to all fours again, and then this time part the knees if that feels good to you, otherwise stay where you were. So same thing with a bit of an inner thigh stretch. And this gives you a little more room to drop the hips if your inner thighs are warm. Okay, try to drop the chest to the thighs here. And again, just allow gravity to press your hips down, forehead down. Maybe you feel a stretch somewhere you didn't expect that might be tight and causing indirect pressure somewhere else, which is usually how the body works from my experience. You can add those arms if you'd like to stretch the wrists. Yum. breathing. Each time you inhale, feel the muscles lengthen. Vertebrae come apart slightly, and then you exhale, press the hips down even more. And you can stay there forever. Okay, that's called child's pose. To come out, we're gonna bring the hands in towards the shoulders, curl the tailbone under, press yourself up to seated. And I'm gonna turn to face you. Okay, crossing the ankles or extending the legs straight out. Okay, and then we'll finish with a little bit of a twist. Arms reach up, try to let go of the legs here. And as you twist, it's just going to be from below the rib cage, bringing the left hand behind you and right arm to the outside of your left knee. Inhale, try to keep your spine stacked. Exhale, and maybe you feel a stretch in the outside of your right low back and rib cage. Okay, rotation is cleansing for the spine. Okay, and we don't want to push it too far. To explore this movement, you can extend your legs straight out, shake it off, and then bend your left knee in towards you. Again, we reach the arms up, and that will act as an anchor for your right arm. Okay, you can also come to your left fist if the hand flat is causing issues in your wrist, which mine sometimes does. Inhale, exhale. As you inhale, lift the rib cage out of the hips, and as you exhale, twist deeper. Okay, a couple of movements there. And then to come out, we'll reach the arms up and switch sides, going right into the second variation, if that felt good to you, or keeping the legs however you are comfortable, and bringing the left arm outside the right knee. Pressing into the mat to lift. Breathing in, and every time you exhale, see if there's one more thing you can just let go of. Okay, I invite you to take as many breaths in that movement as you'd like. Guiding to finish, arms reach up, wiggle your fingers, and bring the hands to your hearts. Tuck your chin to the chest. Notice if you're a little bit looser, hopefully yes, you're welcome to curl into yourself. Just one more moment. And we'll breathe the arms up one last time. Opening the chest, opening the arms to a T, wiggle your fingers here, stretch the hands forward and back, and here we'll flex, round the spine forward. Again, bringing the elbows to touch this time, hands together. You can even grab opposite shoulders, give yourself a hug, and thank you for joining me. I hope you feel a little better now.